Hello, my friend, and welcome to today's second installment in the 2024 update three-part series. The first one was all about the fish that were added in 2024. Be sure to watch that one if you haven't already. And today's installment is about the equipment that was added to the fish room in 2024. And the final installment, the third installment, which will be available very shortly, is going to be about the plans and what I hope to accomplish in the remainder of 2024 in the fish room. So be sure to check that one out too when it becomes available. So let's get right into the equipment, referring to my trusty notes here. Let's get into some of the things that were added to the fish room and whether those additions have worked out. And you're going to be familiar with some of these when I talk about them. But one of the things that I added, and I'm not quite sure if that was in 2024, maybe at the end of 2023, but that was the green, that big green killing machine UV system, and that was added to the 90-gallon. And it was added, I think it was probably added in 2023 because it was added at the tail end of my treating of the hole in the head, the lateral line disease that I had going on in the 90-gallon with a couple of the geos. And as you know, I treated it. I used a lot of fresh water. I used some meds. I used vitamins, and ultimately I also used ultraviolet light. That green killing machine is providing me with pristine water quality in the 90-gallon and is contributing to some very healthy conditions. I've been very happy with it. I run it on a timer, and I'll probably run it 24/7 when I convert that tank eventually into a discus tank. But it's I think it was a worthwhile purchase. Don't bother with the smaller units. If you do get one of these, get the 24-watt unit. There are other units on the market that work on what is called twist technology, which they run the water slowly on a twisting pattern past the UV light, so that the UV light has enough time to sort of disinfect the water, if you will. I didn't want to get into other pumps and inline systems, so instead I went with a system that came with a power head and the light all built in that goes right inside the aquarium. And that for me was just the simplest and easiest to work with solution, and I've been very happy with it. So the green killing machine was added. I also added, as you know, an algae scrubber to the 300-gallon tank behind me. It's a hang-on glass, a hog algae scrubber. You can put it inside the aquarium, right, so that it hangs, on one of the panels of the aquarium. But in my case, because I have a sump, I can go ahead and keep it out of sight and use it in the sump and get the same benefits which include improved oxygen, reduced CO2, and of course the absorbing of the nutrients required for algae. And that way the algae grows in a controlled environment as opposed to all over the aquarium. The algae scrubber I have is part of the 300 series from Santa Monica Filtration. There are lots of algae scrubbers out there. They're not cheap. You can DIY them. I've been real happy with the Santa Monica Filtration units. They provide the perfect amount of UV light to create algae growth. And once that algae gets going, you can harvest it and feed it to your fish. You clean it up every week, and it grows a new batch of algae. And again, absorbing ammonia, absorbing nitrates, and adding oxygen, removing CO2. It's just a great thing for an aquarium where you don't want to or can have plants because the fish are plant destroyers, like what is going on behind me. African cichlids are notorious for destroying plants, and I didn't want to run pothos plants out the back of the aquarium or plants in the sump. Didn't appeal to me, so I'm using an algae scrubber instead. So that's worked out pretty well. It's keeping my nitrates below 40 parts per million with a water change every 2 weeks. Water changes are usually about 30-40%. Another thing that I added underneath the 210-gallon aquarium above the sump is an auto top off, an ATO an auto top off, and this is a manual auto top off that works with a float, and it's been doing the job. Instead of having to top off the sump, it's been topping it off for me. Now, what does that do? I do a vacuum and water change on the 210 every 2 weeks, but in between, I would have to top off the sump. I don't have to do that now. The auto top off keeps it running at the right level, and so I just do the water change every 2 weeks, and I think I'm going to be adding one of those to the sump under the 300, but more on that in volume 3 of this video series. So I've been happy with that auto top off, and I'm really glad I finally got it going. The other thing that I recently added to the fish room that you saw in a video is that little Phoenix hang-on back filter. In the past, with nano hang-on backs, I've had the problem that if there was any glitch in power, like if the lights flickered or there was a power outage, it wouldn't start up again. And it would, the motor, the pump would just sort of spin and heat up, but the water wouldn't move, it wouldn't prime, it wouldn't get going again. What I like the most about this Phoenix is that if there's a power outage and the power then comes back on, like we had a flicker just the other day, I came downstairs, it was running like a champ. So what I like most about it is that it fires right back up without any problem. That means that the pump is nice and strong, and I think it turns, I think it's 50 gallons an hour is the rating on it, which is pretty high. I'm not sure if that's the way it is with media and the pre-filter on it, but it's rated at 50 gallons an hour. So it would be fine on a 10-gallon. I'm currently using it on a 5-gallon. But the little Phoenix hang-on back that I picked up from Aquarium Co-op is working out very, very well, and I'm happy with it. And on the topic of Aquarium Co-op, I feel like I have to mention the lights. You see Corey sometimes banging the Aquarium Co-op the easy green LEDs, right? He bangs them against tables, and I have to concur. These lights are battleships. They're very well made, and what I like most about them is that I can run them at level 10, which is like a 10%. So I use very little wattage, and I get very, very good lighting with those lights. So they are a very bright light. They're very good for plants. If you don't have plants, they might encourage algae, but that's why you put an algae scrubber in there. But they are good for plants, and my planted aquariums that have the co-op lights, those plants all seem to be doing very, very well. So I do recommend those lights from the Aquarium Co-op. So that's the equipment update in the fish room for 2024. What am I going to be adding? I'm going to be adding more things to it, including the setting up of other tanks, and those are in the, and I'll be talking about that in the 2024 plans video. That's installment number 3. I'll talk about what's in store for the rest of 2024. So watch that video to get an idea of what I'm going to be doing the rest of the year. Equipment additions, changes, tank swap outs, tank setups, all that will be covered in the 3rd installment. In the meantime, if you'd like some more tips, be sure to check on this playlist, My Best Tips. And if you'd like to subscribe, which is very appreciated, go ahead and hit me in the mug up here. And that's it for me. You are very appreciated. And I will see you at installment number 3 on the plans for the remaining of 2024. Thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.